wanted...
The fisheye, the extreme fisheye.
Yeah, and that's why he kept it after the BBC had wiped that performance, but luckily he had that in that fantastic quality, and I'm delighted to say that John's with us. John, please take a bow. John Hensel, everyone.
Where's John? Is there a have we got a roving microphone? Because I want to ask John a question now I know he's there.
Yeah, we've got... John, is that all right, mate? We've got a roving microphone coming your way now.
John, sorry to spring this on you, but I mean, that is just because there's no setup on the film, that is Top of the Pops, right?
Yes, that's Top of the Pops.
Which was, what, 73, is that?
3rd of January, 73.
Okay. And the other thing is that is live. They're playing live in the studio.
They're playing live.
You can hear that. You can feel it.
It is mixed by a sound supervisor at the BBC called Dickie Chamberlain. Sadly, no longer with us. But they put extra bars in, which was interesting. So it's longer. So there's a bit of a hiatus when I'm out at a wide shot, and I haven't got a clue what to do. I think, oh, we'll do a retake or something, but we didn't. But what happened was Johnny Stewart said, what we need for this is a fisheye. Have we got one? And I made those fisheyes and had a company on the side called Teleflex that hired out all the effects and the star filters that you see. And I said, no, but we could in 5 minutes. So he said, OK, break for tea. And I head out at the back of Television Centre to my car, parked in a side street, got the fisheye lens out the back of the car, closed the boot, and then I thought, hang on a minute, this is the first time I'm using my lens on my camera, so I can get in really close to get the distortion. So I opened the boot again, and I got out a reel of tape, an 8-inch reel of tape, which Southern Television had given to me, and they distributed commercials on these little reels that only ran for about 10 minutes. So when we'd done the recording, I said to Johnny Stewart, any chance of a copy of it? And he took me down to VTR, and that was just a second-generation copy. Never played from that day on, but always stored really carefully in the airing cupboard to keep it nice and dry.
The airing cupboard is...
And then it got an airing here, thanks to Dick Fiddy.
But you knew, John, you had it all that time. When did you rediscover it?
I had a student, the daughter of a Gurkha officer, and she found it on a cassette and put it onto a little demo tape that she was doing. But I worked with Bowie many other times as his director of photography on music videos. He was amazing. And he asked me to light his party, the one where he had those very short people with trays with white, I think it was talcum powder on the trays, wasn't it? He was an amazing guy, as you've said, to work with, perfectly down to earth as well, which no edge to him whatsoever, and highly creative.
Absolutely. And Dick, that was a surprise. When did that reappear in the archive? A couple of years ago, wasn't it? Or last year, was it?
No,
5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, was it 6 years? 2015, was it? Maybe 2014?
I can remember years and years ago, but not a few years ago. But it was about 6 or 7 years ago, I think.
Right. Okay.
And then as a result of that, Dick put me in touch with Kaleidoscope, and they have now transferred about 1,000 tapes, because I recorded everything I did. Spitting Image, all those kind of shows, kept the lot. And there's lots of other tapes which have been lost, like Petula Clark, but nobody's interested in those, of course. They're only interested in...
Not as many people, perhaps.
Not as many, yeah, absolutely.
What that story tells us, of course, is there's always hope that there might be other missing items, David Bowie items for one, but missing items, beautiful items of music like that, which could be in the hands of private collectors, could have been misfiled somewhere, could have been miscatalogued, could be in the wrong archive. They do turn up all the time, and that turning up just a few years ago was completely unexpected.
Idea. I was interviewed on Radio 2 by Johnny Walker, and he said, what did you do in the 70s? And I thought, well, this is a pop show. I said, well, I was a cameraman at the BBC for the first half, and I worked on programmes like Top of the Pops. And he said, oh, who can you remember working with? And I thought, oh my goodness, I mean everybody, because we worked on it sort of every other week. And we'd go up to the bar where the conversation was, hey, they're bringing in a breathalyzer law. How many pints of Watney's Red Barrel can you drink before you're over the limit? That's, you know, and we drank with all the pop people, but it all merged into one. And I happened to mention the Gin Genie, and I'd got a recording, and the next day, a guy called Ray Langston phoned me up and said, have you got a recording? And I thought, oh God, here we go now, trouble, you know, copyright, all that kind of thing. He said, well, you do realise that there's an 18-page website devoted to trying to find it. I said, no, why would that be? And he said, because the BBC wiped it. I had no idea. I just kept it, and I couldn't use it, and I wanted to use it for a show reel, but because it's on 2-inch tape, there aren't a lot of those machines around, to be honest.
Which raises the question, John, what else have you got in your airing cupboard?
Got some socks, got pairs of underpants.
But it's an interesting question, though, Dick, isn't it? Because there's probably a lot of people here, big Bowie fans, who know what's out there that is missing. Do you have a list of the things that, you know, is there a kind of a list of...
No, but sometimes there's not even a list of what went out. You know, very often, I mean, people veer off the script, suddenly they make an appearance and they're not booked to make an appearance, they're in the audience. Some things that should never have been recorded because they went out live and there was no recording set. You find someone shot at home on 8mm. You know, so it's really difficult to keep a track of what's missing. It's much easier to keep track of what you've got.
But in terms of Bowie material, though, what's the Holy Grail? What is there out there? What did he do on television or was filmed that has been wiped or has been missing since it was done?
I think there's 60s material we'd like back, certainly, but also, I mean, Francis, that you alluded to, who's made the documentaries,
yeah.
He's been on the track of some very rare stuff, and he was on the verge, I think, of finding something which is taking a long time to restore, but we can say that there's a possibility that there is other stuff out there. Yeah. I mean, usually you only find out about it when someone tells you they've got it. It's not the other way. Of course, you can have an 18-page website, but in the end, it wasn't the 18-page website that found it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. There's most of the Top of the Pops in the 60s was white, but there's an event here next Saturday when might be interesting to come along. Can't say no more. No, you know what I mean? Not Bowie, by the way, but another.
Yeah,
famous.
there's an all-music Missing Believe White next Saturday, which has got a lot of missing material on it.
But that was very interesting to see the look back in anger there. Never seen that before,
Yeah.
and I did the music video of Look Back in Anger.
Was that the La 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 Human Steps dance?
Yeah,
yeah.
You whispered to me as that was on. That you were there in the front row for that gig.
Everyone was in the front row. They all rushed forward.
Right. Yeah.
It was at the Dominion, and it was a benefit concert for the ICA. So, sort of a sisterly organisation of this. So, a lot of us went along. Yeah.
And has that Mark Bolan clip, I mean, probably there's people in this room that have seen these clips many times because some of them are on YouTube, but the Bolan clip doing Heroes and then that play-out at the end where it all falls apart.
Well, they're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I look at the La 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 Human Steps and you just think, would he have done Strictly Come Dancing? Celebrity Come Dancing? You know? Oh, he's very good.
What's really intriguing is when you mentioned Francis and you said that, you know, I was asking about the Holy Grail, I can see through the spotlight there that Francis had a kind of a wry smile on his face, which is very, very intriguing to me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what, between you're digging out from the vaults, and I'm sure you're not going to be revealing it right now. Are you, Francis?
It's fine.
What are you looking for? Actually, John, do you want to just pass the mic down? Francis Whately, ladies and gentlemen, who directed, produced the series of films I'm talking about. 5 years, the last 5 years, and the recent one about the Bowie struggle to get started. Is that called the first 5 years, that one, Francis?
It was, but we were worried that we'd be criticised because it wasn't strictly the first 5 years.
Right,
so we called it Finding Fame.
That's right.
Much to the annoyance of my son, who thought that was just a ridiculous thing to do. Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3. Why wouldn't you keep the 5-year thing going? But anyway, yes, we you know, this has been in the papers, so I can say there was a TV show called Lift Off with Aisha on ITV, which was a sort of equivalent of Top of the Pops in some ways, and unfortunately all of Lift Off with Aisha was wiped. not in the BBC way, just through ignorance. It was because the guy pressed the wrong button. So when he was transferring it to digital format, so poor Aisha's whole career has been lost. But David performed Starman on Lift Off with Aisha before he performed it on Top of the Pops. And someone recorded it on a very early version of VHS. And it's mute, but that doesn't matter because the recording exists, so we can sync that back up again, and it's also black and white.
Wow.
But if we can get it restored, and it's not me who's doing it at all, the team have taken a very long time, and it was meant to be in my Finding Fame film, but it wasn't ready then, and it will be, the idea is that it will go into the next version of my film whenever it's shown again, so that would be fairly extraordinary because it is a sort of holy grail. Actually, there was an even better holy grail in that he did a version, he rehearsed the Lift Off with Aisha Starman in his home in Haddon Hall. And we know it was filmed because he bought all these cameras, or rented these cameras from Radio Rentals in Beckenham, I guess. And he did do proper rehearsals, and I think that tape exists somewhere.
Wow.
That would be extraordinary. So the Lift Off with Aisha would be great, but it's 3 minutes, whereas the rehearsals probably go on quite a long time.
And the Lift Off performance, they are playing live in the studio. So when you say you're resyncing the tape, you found the original audio.
Yes,
recording.
the audio exists.
Yeah.
Often the audio exists and the video's gone, but for that one, yeah. It will be exciting to see, because, there are pictures of it.
Yeah.
And he looks quite similar to the BBC version.
Is he wearing the same jumpsuit, the famous...
Yes. Yeah.
Is the same, really?
Yeah. So he's wearing the same jumpsuit, but it's sort of got stars behind the screen and that sort of thing.
The jumpsuit that Kate Moss wore years later, didn't she? And they had to have it taken out because it was too...
No, she wore the bunny costume, I think it was called, which was a sort of like a swimming costume.
Right,
thing.
right, it's a different one, yeah. So the Haddon Hall footage, that is the Holy Grail as far as you're concerned then? So is he just doing Starman, do you think, or
no? I
run
think
through
he's
a whole
recording
set?
quite a lot of things at that time. So, but that may not have ever, it may have been lost years and years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot from the 60s that was wiped, and I believe, there's German archives that I don't think have been looked at properly. But I think there are some German archives.
There you go. And a lot of British footage, of course, turns up in foreign archives.
Yeah.
In terms of the syncing up, when Chris Perry came to my storage at Big Yellow Self Storage in Swindon, he found a rusty film can, and Johnny Stewart had given it to myself and Ron Green in the 1960s, and there were some of the film inserts that were shown, walking along the beach, that sort of thing. And it was rusted, but Tim Disney got the thing open, telecined it, found out what the songs were, and then synced them up. And so there's Sonny and Cher, Roy Orbison, and the Rolling Stones on those three. And I've got another 200 tapes which have got to go for transfer, so I'll be glad to get them out of the house. That's the big thing.
Well, fingers crossed, everyone. And those guys that John mentioned from Kaleidoscope who are presenting next week's show, they have managed to recover quite a bit of Lift Off with Aisha, but unfortunately not the Bowie as of yet. That's all we got time for. I'd like to thank you all for coming. It's terrific to see so many of you here. And thank you so much, John Wilson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.